Welcome to Resilience and Renewal in Your Third Act, a free online event featuring inspiring thought leaders and visionaries who can help you re-envision a life of fortitude and grace. Share this event with your friends and family, and come join us on Facebook at The Shift Network. And now your host, Sabrina Chaw.
Hello, everyone. I am excited to introduce you to Lisa Barnett. Lisa is an internationally recognized Akashic expert, founder and teacher of the Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom. She assists you to find your soul purpose and heal trauma as an Akashic consultant and healer. She is the author of The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records and her second book, From Questioning to Knowing, 73 Prayers to Transform Your Life. Lisa, welcome to the summit.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I'm so thrilled to be here with you today.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here, Lisa, especially during these challenging times. And I thought we'd first start off our conversation. Maybe you can share with our audience what the Akashic Records are. And I know you have a certain thought about what the Akashic Records are doing or what they're guiding to us towards through this pandemic.
Absolutely. So the Akashic Records are the recording of your soul's journey throughout time. From the very moment that you individuated from source into a singular soul, having a journey, everything you've ever been or done has been recorded in the etheric energy of source. And that information is there to support you in your life, on your path, really being able to understand who you are and why you came. So one of the things the Akashic Record keepers have been telling us about this pandemic and the energy we're in right now is that they, of course, are very, very positive because they're pure source energy, pure unconditional love. But what they're sharing is that we truly are raising our vibration and moving forward to create the life that our heart and our soul came to create in this lifetime. And of course, the pandemic is challenging for all of us. What they'd like us to remember is that we are truly making a difference as we do our own spiritual work, our meditation, when we are out even in nature, sharing our beautiful light, connecting to source, to ourselves, into the earth, we are actually expanding and raising the vibration of the planet. And so you are doing beautiful work for humanity and for our dear Mother Earth. And the Akashic Masters say, thank you.
Well, thank you for giving us that positive outlook. I mean, especially during this time when things are so negative. Lisa, can you explain to us how do we then use the Akashic Records? If it's recording everything we've done, how do we use it to find our purpose and what we're supposed to do in this lifetime?
Well, one of the things that people are usually unaware of is that we write a soul plan before we embody. So before your soul said, okay, I'm coming back to Earth, you say, what can I do? What can I bring? Who can I support? So we write soul contracts with other people to help them, to support them, to learn and grow as souls. And that often will look like something that we call karma. So it can look like a challenge, but it's actually about your soul's growth. And so we write that into some of our soul contracts with the people in our lives. And of course, we write many beautiful, supportive, loving contracts to have with sometimes our family members from our family of origin, or with the people that we share our life with, our children, our spouses, our best friends, our business partners. So we can write soul contracts with many, many, many people. And then we also come to bring our gifts and talents, which we often refer to as soul purpose. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about that. But because your soul made a plan, and it is written in your Akashic record, when you can come to read your own personal record and understand your soul's plan, it helps to move you forward with greater ease in your life, in your purpose, on your path to create exactly what you decided to create before you came to Earth.
And that's really fascinating that we all can access this plan and that we all can read our records. How do we do that? Can you walk us through the process of how we do that?
Yes, absolutely. So many, many years ago, the Akashic Record Keepers, so kind of a little step back, not only do you have a huge library that's all about your soul, but there are beings of light that keep your records for you. So I like to imagine the Akashic Record something like a library, and your record keepers are your librarians. So the Akashic Record Keepers asked me to start a school to help to bring this work back to humanity. The energy of the Akashic field was pulled away from Earth about 1,000 years ago, back during the Dark Ages. And that was done by the Akashic Record Keepers because humans were misusing the information that they could then access. So they were using the information for their own personal gain, to win war, to find, other people's gold or jewels. Really, in a sense, we were just only using it for our own good and not for the betterment of our society or humanity. And so they pulled the energy away. So it became so high that the only people who could access the records at that point were the Akashic Record Keepers and the mystics that they were speaking with, or really the high mystical souls that were here on the earth at that time. So when they asked us to bring this information back, they asked me to start a school, and they said, we will give you a simple process. And they gave me what I now call a 5-step wisdom prayer system. And so there are 5 simple steps to accessing your Akashic records. So for me, it was so much easier because I didn't have to practice meditating for 25 years or some other sort of extreme practice that many people have used throughout time to access this sort of high source energy, this divine energy and information. So I use and teach a simple access prayer to literally open the door to your own Akashic records so you can move into that field with ease and grace. And I teach people how to ask questions that get them the answers that are useful for them. So I teach you how to learn about your soul's plan, how to understand the contracts you have with other people in the world, what the old karmic patterns are that you would like to heal and clear and release and learn from so that you can move forward in your life. And I also teach people healing tools, as well as numerous sorts of meditation, short meditations. I like a 10-minute meditation in order to reclaim our energy, to create better boundaries, to be able to really get on our soul path so that we can walk that path with greater ease. And so what I would say is that there are probably quite a few different ways to access the Akashic records in the world, many of them being kind of a more meditative sort of state. But I share a 5-step wisdom prayer system.
Can you briefly share with us what those 5 steps are? Maybe take a few minutes on that. Break it down.
Sure. I would love to. And another thing I could do, which it would be very fun, is we can do a process to bring everybody into the records with me. And so we can experience that energy. And then I can do a bit of a healing reclaiming of past life gifts and talents to support everybody that's on the call today. So the 5-step wisdom prayer system really starts with a prayer to set the intention to be a clear and direct channel of your Akashic records. And then in our second step, we really think about, what do I want to ask in the Akashic records? Because your records are so vast and infinite, if we just go wandering about, we can have fun, we can learn interesting information, but it may not actually be useful or serve you to grow on your soul's path. So I love to teach my students to ask very direct and specific sorts of questions so that you can get answers that will help you transform your life. So literally in our second step, we're asking those questions. We're writing out those questions so that we can think kind of linearly still at this point, what is in my highest and best interest to know today? And so you can ask about things like growing your business, or you can ask about your soul's plan and your soul contracts with people who are in your life. Or you might be able to ask about your health and maybe some foods that are helpful and useful for you to strengthen your body, or even what sort of exercise is more in alignment with your kind of soul's path, because you have been and done many things, but there are certain sorts of exercises that may be more in alignment to the body that you're in right here and right now. So we can ask numerous sorts of questions. Of course, most people love to learn about their soul contracts, the people that they're in relationship with, and your soul purpose and your gifts and talents. So I really teach you how to ask all of these sorts of questions. So you have a process to do every day if you want, or many times a week, to kind of follow along, always helping you and supporting you in choosing the right next step for you now. And then step 3 is about actually opening your Akashic records using a sacred vibrational key to open that door to your Akashic records so that you can have a conversation with your own Akashic record keepers. And then after we've gone into our records and we've asked our record keepers all these questions that we wrote out, we've received information, the record keepers help to heal and clear old energy that no longer serves you. And then at step number 4 is filling ourselves up with our highest Akashic wisdom and light. And we can even ask to download new upgrades, such as upgraded DNA or upgraded blueprints, after we do some energy healing and clearing through our Akashic records. So we can not only clear old things that aren't serving us, that may actually be holding us back, old blocks and emotional pain and trauma, we can clear through the records. And then we fill up with our highest energy, our beautiful new blueprints, our beautiful Akashic wisdom that you may have had from other lifetimes even. You can get that downloaded into your physical body energy field right here and right now. And then the simple 5th step of the 5-step wisdom prayer system is to close and lock your records so that you can go on about your day.
I love that. It's a very well-defined system, Lisa. Let me ask you, first of all, you were going to lead us through a practice to help us maybe clear our karma and our past trauma. But before you do that, what do you mean by, I think you mentioned a sacred vibrational key. That was I believe the third step to open our records. How do we get that sacred vibrational key?
Well, that is one of the things that I do teach in my Akashic Record workshops. And of course, I teach here in person in California sometimes, but of course I teach online because it's so important to be able to share this information and this wisdom with people all over humanity, all over the planet, with all of humanity. The Akashic Record keepers asked me about 15 or 20 years ago when they said, just asked me to start a school. They said, it's time to bring this information back to humanity. This is your birthright. And so they gave me 6 different vibrational keys to access the Akashic Records. And there are 6 of them right now. They've also recently said to me, it's time to download a few more access keys because they resonate with different people in the world. So just like you have an ancestral lineage, you also have a soul lineage. And that soul lineage can be very, very expansive. It's connected to all of the lifetimes that you've had throughout time. And so because each of us are very unique souls, we have different soul lineages. And so there are 6 access prayers right now, and soon there will be 8, because it just makes it easier for people. If it resonates more with you, then it's easier to move into the Akashic Records. And this is one of the reasons the record keepers really asked me to start a school, because they said, we can give you all of these access keys, right? These sacred prayers. So more and more and more people will be able to access this information and energy with ease. And when we do our little guided process, I will actually use one of those keys to open the records and bring us all into the Akashic energy together. So you will actually hear a part of one of the sacred access prayers.
Well, I'd love you to start that process if you can. I can hardly wait. So go ahead.
Of course, I would love to. So let's just start by, if you can, shut your eyes. If you're at home and you've got a nice, comfortable, safe space, let's just go ahead and close our eyes. I always like to have my feet on the ground as we start by connecting down into our dear Mother Earth. I find it's helpful to be grounded and centered so that our body feels very kind of calm and safe. And let's just imagine that we're dropping out of our head and down into our heart. So just energetically, I like to picture a little ball of light in my head, and it just drops straight down my throat and down into my heart chakra. And we start to breathe and feel our heart open and expand. Let's just let our heart open and expand even a little bit further. And we ask the divine lords of unconditional love to help us center fully in this moment as we create this sacred space. Please wrap us in your love and protection and allow us to travel to the highest realms of the Akasha available to us today. Please help as we lay our multidimensional hearts open to divine love and release all resistance. Lords of the Akashic Record, please guide us to the deepest truth we can access now. Support us in healing and releasing that which no longer serves on our true path. We give great thanks for our divine love and light and support on this journey today. So just let yourself take a couple of nice, slow, deep breaths. And notice what you notice. Some people are more clairsentient. You may feel a cool breeze around you. Some people may feel a column of swirling light around you. I see a kind of silvery blue. And we are bridging the Akashic field, source energy, really divine wisdom, to us and through us and right down to Gaia, connecting to our dear Mother Earth. So we are being the bridge of heaven and earth when we do this work. So as we're in this beautiful Akashic space right now, let's ask the record keepers to help us to reclaim a few of our gifts and talents that we came to bring out to the world to share with humanity. And these are often what we think of as purpose. They're the talents that we have that we've really come to bring out into the world in some way. So again, just taking a few breaths as we ask your record keepers, if you wish, just say yes. And we imagine these beautiful, energetic gifts are coming from other lifetimes, memories of other places where we've had and used and accessed these talents, these gifts with ease, where we've walked very clearly on our soul path, doing what we came to do. And so we're asking our record keepers to help us, whether we know what they are in our mind or not. No worries. Let's just allow our record keepers to bring them energetically right down into our crown chakra. And they come down into the body. And they integrate into the body in the highest and best way for you. So you may feel it as sparkly energy. I often see it as kind of little golden gifts, like a golden little beautiful wrapped up package. Sometimes they look like a symbol. Maybe it's a calligraphy pen because you're intending to write a book. Or maybe it's an ancient image from another lifetime where you were a wise woman or wise man or a teacher. Maybe it's an invention that you're intending to write about, to download, to understand and bring out to humanity at this time. Whatever it is for you, we invite it to integrate fully down into the body right here and now. And we ask the record keepers to help us to connect that into a mental level so that we can remember the truth of that gift and that ability, that talent that we have just reclaimed into our bodies. We ground it down in. And with our feet on the floor, we ask that we can share this gift as we walk here present on this beautiful Mother Earth, that we are able to bring our gifts and talents that have just come more consciously and energetically present in our body, that we may share them with the world, with our family, with our friends, with our community, even in a bigger way if we choose. It's up to you. So I see our hearts just spinning and growing bigger and bigger and expanding out as our souls become excited and looking forward to sharing this gift out into the world. And so we thank the record keepers, we thank the masters, the teachers, the beings of light for this wisdom, these gifts, these talents, and this energy we've been able to download and to receive and embrace and integrate today. And we thank the beings of light, and we close and lock our records for now. And so it is. Blessed be.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Lisa.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I always just love bringing people into the Akashic Records. It feels so kind of yummy, warm and fuzzy and sparkly and exciting. So hopefully everybody got a little taste of that light and the love that the Akashic Records are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I certainly did. And I also felt sometimes the inner critic coming in, which were saying, some challenges, maybe blocks of energy that were coming in that were saying, is this really the truth? Is this really the record keeper is speaking to you? Is this just your hopes and dreams, Sabrina? Those type of little messages are coming in. What can we do about the challenges or the blocks of energies or these inner critic messages that come up while we're in that process so that we can clear the way to have where we know it's really the authentic voice of the record keepers giving to us?
Yes, that's so important, Sabrina. There's a few kind of simple tools that I love to teach. And this is one of the reasons that I suggest when we start to kind of move out of our head to kind of imagine all of our mental busyness. I like to compress it into a small ball that can just drop right down my throat into my heart and open into my heart space. So we're really moving out of the head brain into the heart brain. So that is a huge process. Well, it's not a huge process. It's a simple process that can make a huge difference. And so when we start to practice doing that, and I think, because we're so used to being in our head and letting our ego and our little busy mind kind of sidetrack us, that it becomes a bit of a process to say, okay, I'm going to do that again. And I'm just going to imagine all of that mental busyness. I'm just going to make it a little tiny marble and let that drop down into my heart. And when that energy hits your heart space, your fourth chakra, it actually opens and activates the heart brain, strengthening the heart brain. So by giving the heart brain the lead, that really helps us to move from our heart space, from our heart brain, instead of our head brain. Now, another thing I find is very, very powerful, and something I teach in my Akashic Record course, is to turn off your analyzer. And it's just like imagining that linear logical brain has a flip switch on it. I picture it just like a kind of a big power box with a big switch. And so as I'm gathering all of that mental energy together into a small marble, I let that be a little small marble right there in the center of my head, right there where my pineal gland is in the center. And then I imagine, or I see my flip switch box, right? My analyzer box, and I just picture it. And it's, of course, in the on position. And I can ask my record keepers, or if you're not working in the records at the moment, you could ask your angels or your guides to help you, or just your higher self. Help me to switch this box off, lock it off. I sometimes get out the duct tape it off, tape it all down, right? Let's keep the logical, linear, noisy part of the brain off while I'm doing this meditation. And then from the center of my pineal, I'm going to drop down into my heart, let my heart open and expand, and say, go on with that, whatever meditation I'm doing or process, if you wanted to do that, and then rewatch this segment and redo the meditation, something like that. It's very, very helpful. I find that when I turn off my analyzer, a lot of that chatter and noise just goes quiet in my head. So doing that before you meditate every time can be phenomenal for your meditation.
Yes, I can see how I can apply that particular process to many things too, Lisa. So I appreciate you saying that. That was a great visualization. You also mentioned about clearing karma and some of the trauma that has happened that may be blocking our access to the records. Can you speak more about that and maybe lead us through a process with that as well?
Sure. So, of course, karma is a big subject, but the record keepers really just kind of talk about karma as it's the learning that we came to learn to grow as a soul. And we create karmic patterns when we don't get the growth, when we don't understand, when we can't move from blame into compassion, when we can't move out of our own way in some ways, and to really grow as a soul, to be able to forgive, to be able to move to compassion, to be able to awaken. These are really the kind of the simple steps towards the awakening process is forgiveness and compassion and love, all lead really to that awakening. So what the record keepers talk about karma is that the karmic patterns have been cleared in the Akashic field. So in the higher source energy fields, all of this old karmic wheel of life that we have been struggling with for thousands and thousands and thousands of years has been cleared in the higher planes and dimensions, which is fabulous news. And so now it's really just up to us to understand it, to get that when we go back and keep telling ourselves the same stories over and over, that we're recreating this old karma, that we're stuck on the wheel down here in this life, and that we are really creating an energetic block for ourselves. So one of the things that the record keepers talk about in moving forward and clearing karma is doing our forgiveness work. And that is very, very important. Of course, they've given me a forgiveness prayer, which I also teach in my workshops. And so when we can start to move into that place of forgiveness where we can start to open and expand our heart, we truly are able to clear some of these energetic blocks. And it's the blocks, it's the story, it's the old beliefs and patterns that make it hard for us to move forward, to live our purpose, to do what we came to do. So what I notice often is that it's a mental level. It's the old story. It's the childhood trauma. It's really, of course, we all have a lot of trauma in our lives, this life and past lives. And we bring some of that past life trauma and karma so that we can finally understand and get it and grow and move on as a soul. So, but the way it often shows up in our life more consciously than this is karma is that I feel stuck. I'd like to start a new business, but I don't know how. I'm afraid I'm not on my soul path. I don't know what my purpose is. And I know that often as we're moving, into the third act, that many people really have finally the time and the space to find that more spiritual soul path. And then we get a little stuck in our heads about, oh my God, do I know what it is? What is it? What is it? What is it? And we're actually blocking ourselves from receiving our own divine guidance, from seeing and noticing what this soul purpose and path is. And the old trauma from our childhood or other lifetimes, which is unconscious, is affecting us. So I would be happy to do a little bit of energy healing for the group, because that can be very useful to start to get us unstuck. One of the things that the record keepers have been sharing with me is that it is so important to, again, right now in this time in history, this year, next year, kind of this 5-year window we're in right now, to really acknowledge in a bigger way the truth of who you are as a divine, wise, and ancient soul. And as we allow ourselves to remember this, it helps us to step more fully into the truth of who you are and embody your gifts and talents. And it's those gifts and talents that are part of your soul purpose, because your soul purpose is not just one thing. The record keepers always say, you would be bored silly if you had one purpose, right? It would be, what if that one purpose was to raise your children and that was it? And now what do I do, right? So we have many, many, many purposes, and they show up in different times and stages in our life. And I think it's very important to know and realize that we have a different purpose, right? When we're 20, then when we're 40, then when we're 60 or 80. And it may be all intertwined over the years, but I know how important it is for us to start to see them, feel those gifts, those talents, to remember the truth that you have been this many different lifetimes. And I know when the record keepers first asked me to write my first book, I thought, I can't even spell, Granted, I went to college. I even thought I would be a journalist, which was a very early inkling of part of one of my soul gifts and talents and part of my purpose. But I left the writing and went into art school. And so I walked away from that many, many years before. So what I literally did is I kept going back to past lives in which I was a successful author, in which I had published a book, in which I was able to share that work with the world. And so I kept reclaiming through all of these past lives, these gifts and talents. And that was a little bit of what we did in the first guided visualization, was reclaiming some of those gifts and talents. So let's clear some of those blocks that keep us often in our head, not believing that this is the truth. So let's drop back down into our hearts. Again, out of your head, that little marble that was all of that mental activity. We're going to drop down into our heart. And then let's imagine our analyzer box, that big flip switch box that's always on. And we're going to ask our record keepers right now to help us to turn that analyzer to the off position. I like to lock it off with a little golden padlock, and then I get out the duct tape. I like layers of keeping it locked off. So with our linear logical mind turned off, We're just going to ask our Akashic record keepers to take us back outside of time and space to a lifetime in which we vowed or broke a contract, or in some way or another blocked our gifts and talents from being able to share them in that lifetime. So just imagine, if you get nothing, that's just perfect too. It's just an energetic process. I'm asking the group record keepers to take each of us back to the highest and best past life that we can do a healing on today, so that we can clear past life vows where we vowed, I'm never going to do that again because that got me hurt, or run out of town. Any past life where we broke a soul contract with someone else. Maybe we left our business partner in a lurch, and now we're having a business challenge for ourselves, or we're afraid to start a new business because we had that old feeling like, uh-oh, that karma's going to come back and get me. We don't even have to know it's there. Energetically, these are karmic old patterns that want to show up and be healed. So we want to just open to receive, consciously or unconsciously, energetically. You might get a visual or not. Whatever that lifetime may be, we're asking the record keepers to uplift and bring to completion all of those vows, any incomplete contracts, any emotional pain or trauma from that lifetime that is keeping you stuck now. So that old energy, that trauma, that being run out of town, or having your business partner desert you, or you, having your business fold, or whatever, it could have been for you. It could be a million different things, because we've had hundreds of lifetimes. We just invite our record keepers to help us to uplift it and bring to completion, to help us to just be aware in some way of the learning and the soul growth, that we may move forward on our soul path with ease and grace. Beautiful. And so you may feel the energy just shifting. I often feel it just expanding out as it releases. I kind of feel lighter, more open, more expansive. So whatever you're noticing is just perfect, because we've uplifted some old soul contracts that were just stuck, vows that got stuck, energy that gets stuck, all of these pieces we've released now. And we ask our record keepers, again, to fill us with the highest energy that we can now hold. Now that we have cleared and released all of that energy from the past. And we invite the universe to help us, to support us in going forward, to help us to create the life our heart and soul desires. So just let yourself feel, see, notice this beautiful, sparkly, golden energy coming into your field, grounding all the way down into your feet and filling your legs and your body and your head, filling your whole auric field with the highest, newest vibrational energy and codes you can hold. Feels good. So we thank the masters again for the healing, the clearing, and the new wisdom and energy that we've brought in. And we close and lock the Akashic Records for now, and so it is. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Ah. Oh, yes, I definitely feel that expansion and that lightness of being, like tons lighter than, say, 40 minutes ago. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing that with us. That was very profound. I'd like to ask you, do
My
you have
pleasure.
yes. I'd like to ask you, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave our audience to encourage them, to invite them to continue opening up in these records and asking the record keepers for their path, towards their purpose in their third act?
Absolutely. So as the record keepers were mentioning at the beginning that, of course, their love, their pure unconditional love is with you each and every day. And they suggest that you reach out to them. You can just drop into your heart and ask your record keepers to help to support you on your path today, to help to know and choose the highest and best next step for you right now. And they remind us that when we open our heart and expand it, I like to see the heart almost like a spinning golden ball. And it can fill your whole physical body, your whole chest cavity, and out to fill your aura and to fill your whole room that you're in or house. And it can go bigger than that. But if we're just starting, that's comfortable, just expanding that big. And of course, because we know our heart is a magnet and it goes out and calls energy back to us. And so as we're living in this space of unconditional love, and we're sharing unconditional love with the people around us, or even if we are living at home alone right now, with our neighbors, with our community, you don't even have to see them. You can just feel that you're expanding that beautiful unconditional love out into the world, to your community around you. And what that energy is doing is it is magnetizing that unconditional love right back to you. And then we start to notice just beautiful things showing up in the world. New doors are opening. And as we're going forward in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, we really, truly, the record keepers are saying, keep your eyes on the light. And remember, you are pure divine source love. And that is one of your greatest purposes for being on the planet now, is to share the love, the unconditional love, and your light with humanity. And whatever the gifts are that you're called to share with the world, they are of great importance to all the world around you. Never doubt that. And they are so grateful to connect with you and hope to see you more often in your Akashic record.
Well, I'm really touched by what you just shared, Lisa. I can feel the presence of the record keepers and the masters all around us. What a beautiful prayer. This whole interview was just a beautiful prayer. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your light and wisdom with us all.
Thank you, Sabrina. It has been a joy to be able to share the Akashic wisdom and love with you and with all of the people who are watching us today. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And viewers, you can find Lisa at akashicknowing.com. akashicknowing.com. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you on the next call.
Thank you for joining us for Resilience and Renewal in Your Third Act. Transform fear and claim your sovereignty in uncertain times. Brought to you by the Shift Network. To learn more, visit thirdactsummit.com. To join our global community of people awakening to their divine humanity and taking inspired action, visit theshiftnetwork.com. Thank you again for gathering with us and for sharing this empowering path with your friends and family.